Okay, everybody, so today we're going to talk about adverbs, or in Portuguese we call it advérbios, okay? Okay, so what is an adverb after all? An adverb is a word that modifies three different types of words or three different parts of speech. An adverb is something that typically follows a verb, or not follows, but goes together with a verb. An adjective, which means a characteristic, or another adverb. Okay? So let's look at the first example. Okay? O João canta maravilhosamente. John sings wonderfully. So notice that mente is usually translated in English as the ly. Okay? So in this case, the adverb maravilhosamente is characterizing how John sings. Okay? So in this case, the adverb modifies a verb. Now, an adverb can also modify an adjective. Okay? So if you say something like, a Angelina Jolie é de fato linda. So say you bumped into Angelina Jolie and you actually find out on your own that she's really pretty, okay? So in this case, Angelina Jolie is, in fact, or actually, she is really pretty. Or she is, in fact, pretty. In this case, because we are using this type of adverb, which is an adverb of affirmation, you don't really have an WH question that you would ask, but it would be more like a yes or no question. A Angelina Jolie é bonita mesmo? Is Angelina Jolie really pretty? And then you would say, yeah, she's in fact very pretty, or she's in fact pretty. Okay, so an adverb can also modify another adverb, okay? So let's look at this example. Nós moramos muito longe do centro. So, in this case, we're focusing on the adverb muito, which means a lot or very much. So, muito is considered an adverb of intensity, okay? So that tells you how much of something. And I ended up writing here about the other adverb, but that's okay too, because both of them are. But anyway, here, longe means far, muito means a lot, okay? Both of them are adverbs. So, onde vocês moram? Where do you live? Far from the center, or very far from the center, okay? So in this case, you're measuring the intensity of the distance from downtown. Alright, so just going over here, these are the types of adverbs, the most common types of adverbs that you come across and use very frequently. The first type is adverbs of time, okay? The other one is adverbs of frequency, which we have already learned in our class, but I will revise it with you. We also have adverbs of manner, that it's typically this example here about maravilhosamente, which tells you how much of something or how something happens. Place and direction, okay, so it's the on, in, at, or direction, through, over, and you name it. Intensity, that tells you how much of something. Negation, that tells you that something doesn't happen, so the no. Affirmation, that refers to something that it's positive and yes. And you also have adverbs that refer to a situation of uncertainty or possibility. So you're not sure that it's something is true or it's not true, it's just a possibility. Alright, so let's go to the first one. Adverbs of time. Okay, so adverbs of time, as the name says, refers to time. We notice here that from this slide on, I divide the adverbs into two different categories. The first one are the adverbs that are formed by only one word. And locuções adverbiais, they are usually composed of two words or more, okay? But they modify a verb, an adjective, or another adverb the same way as the one-word one. So let me just go over each one of them for you. Já can mean just or already. Agora means now. Antes, before. Depois, after. Anteontem, the day before yesterday. Ontem, yesterday. Hoje, today. Amanhã, tomorrow. Tarde means, it could mean afternoon, but in this case means late. Logo, soon. Locuções adverbiais, de manhã, in the morning, in the afternoon, à tarde. De dia is during the day, so it could be either morning or afternoon. À noite, at night. De repente, suddenly. Em breve, soon. So it's kind of very similar to logo. Hoje em dia, nowadays. Alright, so let's go to the next adverbs, type of adverb. Here we have the adverbs of frequency that you usually use when you're talking about the present, when you're talking about habits and routines that you have. So when we first learn how to use the present in Portuguese, we also learn how to use these adverbs, okay? So, in a scale from 0 to 100%, these are the most frequent ones. So, sempre, geralmente, frequentemente, com frequência. So notice that these here, they're not really very different. Like, they just mean frequently, so around 75%. Sometimes, occasionally, so às vezes, eventualmente, raramente, de vez em quando, okay? It could also be translated as once in a while. Hardly ever, quase nunca, e never, nunca. Okay, notice that these adverbs of frequency, the word order in English is it's more inflexible. They usually come in between the subject and the verb. Well, I guess you could begin a sentence saying, usually John goes to the park. But in Portuguese, it's very flexible, and that goes for any word order. You can change the places of different types of words like verbs and subjects and objects quite a bit more than you can in English. But anyway, that's just a side comment. All right. Here we have adverbs of manner, okay? So these are the ones that usually answer to the question of how something happens, okay? So we have bem, which means well. So you would use, for example, to say that Mary speaks Italian well. A Mary fala italiano bem. Mal would be the opposite. Depressa, fast, or in a hurry. Devagar, slow. Pior, worse. Melhor, better. So they are comparatives, but we're going to go over it in a few classes from now, or I think towards the end of the semester. Suavemente, smoothly. Lentamente, slowly. And then most of the adverbs that finish with mente, okay? You also have passo a passo, that means step by step. Lado a lado, how can I translate that? Besides a person. Sorry, beside. Às pressas, in a hurry. À vontade, you would say something like fique à vontade, like make yourself home. Vontade means like will. So at your will, I don't know if you could say this in English, but it means, you know, feel comfortable in my home. À toa means that you don't really have anything to do. So if you say estou à toa, it means you are idle. You're not doing anything. A pé, on foot. Em geral, generally. Em vão, em vem. De cor. This is used in English, you would say by heart, right? So just remember that cor, right? Heart from Latin. So if you know something de cor, you know something by heart. All right. We have also adverbs of places and direction. And this list is very, very extensive, okay? I'm going to translate them for you, but then I think it will help you more to see pictures, and then you see the adverbs and the locuções adverbiais, because they're very similar, and I think it's something that if you see it, it's more likely that you remember. Abaixo, embaixo. So notice here that I placed together adverbs of place and direction, okay? Because some of them can be used for both. Some of them are only for place, some of them are only for direction, but they kind of go together. Abaixo or embaixo. One is under, the other one is, well, they're under. It depends on how you use it. Acima means above. Atrás or de trás, behind. Diante, opposite or in front of something. Aí, there. Aqui, here. Ali, there, but in a place that neither you nor I are. So it's a third perspective that we don't really have it in English. Dentro, inside. Fora, outside. Perto, close or next to. Longe, far from. Junto, together. Através could be through something. Locuções adverbiais: ao lado, beside, em frente, in front of, à direita, to the right, à esquerda, to the left, à distância, far away from, or in distance, de longe, from far away, de perto, from close by, para dentro, toward, inside, por aqui, around here, por fora, outside, em cima, on, por fora, oops, a little bit of a repetition, por ali, around there, por dentro, inside, por detrás, behind. But let's look at the picture, because it's easier to remember, okay? If you put something on top of something else, okay, but it's just really resting there, you would say no or na. And remember that for you to have no or na, you're actually blending the preposition em, right? em, which if you were to translate it in English, it can be on, in, or at in English. So you really kind of it's a very versatile preposition. Acima do would be something that it's above, but not necessarily, it's not touching. Okay, so a bola está acima do quadrado. The ball is above the square. Em cima do, it's kind of very similar to no, but in this case it would be, you know, just over, like touching completely. But very similar. Diante de or em frente do, so it's in front of or opposite. Ao lado do or da, beside. Abaixo do, below, okay? So not under, but below, so it's not really touching. Embaixo do would be under, okay? Atrás do or de trás do, behind. Okay, here we have some of the adverbs of direction. I just put adverbs, but it's also locuções adverbiais, okay? So, Você está andando para cima. So you're walking upstairs. Você está andando para baixo, downstairs. Por cima, above. No is when you say you throw a ball and then it lands on top of something. So in English would be onto. And in Portuguese, we would just really use the preposition no, like em, right? So no or na. Do or da, because if you're going to say, you know, take the ball off the square, you would say something like tire, which is take off. Tire a bola do quadrado. So the preposition that you would use to refer from the place that you need to remove it from would be the preposition de, which you contracting with the article o and a becomes do or da. If you're throwing the ball towards the square, na direção do. So, a bola, eu jogo a bola na direção do quadrado. Ou, eu jogo a bola para o quadrado. Okay? So, if two people are playing volleyball and then one is throwing the ball to the other, you would say, o João joga a bola para o José. Para longe do. So if you're throwing a ball away from, you would say, eu jogo a bola para longe do quadrado. Okay? If you're making the reference with something else. Pelo would be by, right? So you're, walking by something or passing through, well, walking by, really. Por dentro do or pelo. So if you're saying I'm going through the tunnel, you would say eu dirijo pelo o túnel. So I drive through the tunnel. Ou eu dirijo por dentro do túnel. I drive through the tunnel. But in this case, pelo is actually the more common one. If you do this, for example, if you want to go and travel around the world, you would say, eu vou dar uma volta ao mundo. Ou eu vou viajar em volta do mundo. Well, this example is probably not the best one. But anyway, if you're walking around something, eu estou andando em volta do quadrado. I am walking around the square. Para dentro, so if you're throwing something into something, eu jogo a bola para dentro do quadrado. So I throw the ball inside the square, I throw the ball out of the square. Eu jogo a bola para fora do quadrado. If you're walking or driving or, throwing something over a bridge, for example, eu dirijo pela ponte, okay? Ou por cima da ponte. Both of them would be over, okay? But in a situation of like something like a bridge. If you're driving or walking through something, you could say por entre. I forgot to put the D here, but a bola está rolando por entre os quadrados. It's correct. So the ball is rolling, through the square, or along the square, or they were skating along the road. Eles estavam patinando ao longo da avenida. Here we have the adverbs of intensity, okay? These are the adverbs that refer to how much of something, okay? So, how much, how well, it could be, it's not necessarily how much, but it could also be how plus an adjective. So, for example, how well does George Michael sing? O George Michael canta muito bem, okay? Or você gostou do show? Did you like the concert? Eu gostei bastante. I like it a lot. Demais is too much. So demais is so good that it's not good anymore. Well, no, that's not right. If for it to be too much, you would have to write até demais. Até demais. That would be too much. But if it's only demais, it's positive. Okay. Mais or menos, more or less, muito pouco, a little, a lot, or a few, or many. Quase, almost. Quanto, it just means like, it can mean how much, but it also it can mean much. Tanto, então, these ones I'm not really gonna go over so much because it's something that we'll learn in class towards the end of the semester. But it just means like so. For example, the concert was so long. So this intensity, you would use tanto or tão, but I'll explain the difference eventually. Meio means half, todo, all, completamente, completely, excessivamente, excessively, apenas, only. E locuções adverbiais de muito or de pouco. So, for example, if you're saying that your team won by, by a lot more than the other team, you would say, meu time ganhou de muito no jogo. So my team won, by the gigantic difference of points. So that's why you would put the G before. Em excesso, in excess, excessively. Por completo, completely. We also have the adverbs of negation, which means, something that refers to no, or the impossibility of something. So we have não, which is no. Then you just add it to your sentence to deny something. And we have locuções adverbiais. De forma alguma, de forma nenhuma. All of these here translate as no way, or, no way. So there's no way I will wake up early in the morning. De maneira alguma eu vou acordar às 6 horas da manhã. So there's no way I will wake up at 7 in the morning. Okay? So it typically goes, the longer, whenever you're talking about the locuções adverbiais, because they're too long, they're typically going to come on the beginning or at the end of the sentence. Because if they come in the middle of the subject and verb, you kind of get a little bit lost, or you're kind of interrupting the core of your sentence. So they're typically on the beginning or at the end of the sentence. And here we have Borat, and he's always happy and he agrees with everything. If you don't know who Borat is, you have to watch the movie. It's hilarious. Okay, so adverbs of affirmation. Okay, so affirmation has to do with yes. So yes, sim. So for example, if you say something, if you say a sentence in Portuguese, like eu gosto de escutar música sertaneja, sim. If you put the sim towards the end of an affirmative sentence, you're emphasizing your point. So for example, I do like country music. Eu gosto de música sertaneja, sim. But you put it at the end of the sentence. Unlike in English that you would say, I do like something. Certamente, certainly, realmente, really. Locuções adverbiais, com certeza, for sure, por certo, certainly, sem dúvida, no doubt, de fato, in fact. And then the last group is the adverbs of uncertainty or possibility, okay? So it's not yes, it's not no, it's somewhere in between. So, the adverbs we have talvez, maybe, provavelmente, probably, possivelmente, possibly, de certo, possibly too. So, and we don't really have any locuções adverbiais, or not one that I could think of. Ok, agora é a hora de praticar. So let's practice some of these adverbs that we learned, okay? So I'm going to give you an example, and the example is, the adverb is underlined, and also under the sentence I will tell you which type of adverb it is, okay? Okay, so we have here, o Paulo e o João discutem política às vezes. So, às vezes, as we know, means sometimes. So, it's an adverb of frequency, okay? So, let me go over here the sentence. Paulo and João discuss politics or talk about politics sometimes, or they sometimes talk about politics. So, sometimes means answers the question of how often, okay? So, adverb of frequency. In this example here, the sentence is, ah, sim, eu acho que conheço a Paola. Oh, that's right. I think I know Paola. Okay? So you're emphasizing your point. You're saying, that's true, I really do. So it's an adverb of affirmation, okay? So, and here the type of question that you would ask to get this as the answer would be like a yes or no question. So you would ask something like, do you know Paola? And the answer would be, yeah, I do know Paola. Ok, ela gosta de andar lentamente pela rua. Oh, ele, sorry, not ela. He likes to walk slowly on the street. So, slowly means how he likes to walk, okay? So, if the question is how, adverb of manner. Ok, so, a gente estuda à noite. We, informal, we study at night. So, at night refers to a time, adverb of time. And the question would be, when do you study? Eles não aguentam mais estudar biologia. So, eles não aguentam, they can't stand studying biology. Okay? So, we see the não, it's an adverb of negation, right? So, and the question would be a yes or no question again. So, it would be something like, eles ainda estudam biologia? So, do they still study biology? And then you could say, yeah, you know, but they can't stand studying biology no more. Okay, check this example. Nós raramente viajamos para o exterior. We rarely travel abroad. Okay, so rarely answers the question of how often. Okay, it's an adverb of frequency. Eu ando lentamente pelas ruas de Springfield. Okay, I ended up already using lentamente before, but anyway. But lentamente again asks you how you walk, right? Or how slow. It's an adverb of manner. Logo que chegou na aula, a Patrícia recebeu uma ligação. Logo means, it can mean, when I introduced that adverb for you, I said that it was soon, but in this context here, it means as soon as, because it has the que after. As soon as, well, just so you understand, because we are omitting here the subject, but when we do this is because the subject is the same. As soon as Patricia arrived in the classroom, she received a phone call. Okay? So, logo que, it's a reference in time. So, when would be the question. When did she get the call? And then the answer would be as soon as she got into class. Logo que chegou na aula. O Lucas fala alemão muito bem. So notice here that we have two adverbs, okay? So the first one would be muito, that answers the question of how much. Well, a lot. Adverb of manner, how? Because you could say that it was very bad too, but you said instead that it was very well. So when you have, you know, if you were going to ask this question in English, you would probably ask something like how well, because you're assuming he does speak well. Okay. Now, if you didn't know how he spoke, you could just ask how, and then the answer would have been whatever it was. So, o Lucas fala alemão muito bem. Lucas speaks German very well. Possivelmente a Larissa é do Rio de Janeiro. So I'm not sure, but it's possible. So possibly Larissa is from Rio. Okay. It's an adverb of uncertainty because I'm not 100% sure if she is from Rio or not. Okay. So the question, if I were to ask here, would be a yes or no question. Is Larissa from Rio? A Larissa é do Rio? Possivelmente, because perhaps she has the accent. Eu estou perto do mud house. I am near mud house. It's near refers to a location, right? So it would be an adverb of place. Place, yeah, place, because it's in reference to something. So you're answering the questions of where. And then here we have a cantora do barzinho canta mal. So I got stuck with the singing example today. A cantora do barzinho canta mal. The bar singer sings badly. So it's an adverb of manner because you're asking how or how well or just how does she sing. Okay, pessoal, so this is the end of the grammatical explanation for adverbs, okay? It's not too difficult. The real thing here is for you to practice. And I highly suggest that you use Anki or any sort of flashcard and write sentences using those adverbs because there are a lot of them, and it's just really just kind of writing and practicing them. Então, na nossa aula, de segunda-feira, on our Monday class, nós vamos praticar a utilização de advérbios, ok? So make sure you come prepared to class. Muito obrigada e até mais!